everyone, this is like my 4th attempt at doing this because I'm not used to using this video equipment. So, I'm sorry that I failed to put a video up last week. The point of this is I'm going to put 2 videos up this week. And my pens are running out for the and this one is a bit of a story video about why I didn't put a video up last week. It's going to take a lot of background, and there's a couple of different characters you'll need to know. So our story begins at the start of me coming to university, which was 2 years ago now. I think I've told you all that I'm a university student, and I actually came to uni a year late, so I was a year older than every other first year. And at the time I was dating Robot. He was sweet, he was nice, he was kind, and he was a good boyfriend. The problem was that as soon as I moved to uni, he was in Warrington and I was in Wolverhampton. Now that's only an hour on the train. It's not like it was a huge distance, but he could only visit me every now and then. He visited me once while we were dating, and I visited him once while we were dating. But in the time between those, we would talk on social media like Steam and things like that. But the problem was, after a while, it got to a point where I'd say hi, and days and days and days would pass until he'd reply. And with next to nothing he'd reply with. He wouldn't try and catch up what he'd missed, and I couldn't deal with it. With all the stress of university and the stress of him, I ended up getting very, very upset. During that time, I made some friends. Now, the important one at the moment is a guy called Alphonse. Now, Alphonse was in one of my lectures, and we'd made friends. He was nice, and one evening I was really upset, and he decided he was going to come round and make me feel better. So he did, and he'd made me feel better, and we got closer and closer as the weeks progressed, until it got to a point where he was leaving to go home for Christmas on the train, and he had picked me up, which not a lot of people are allowed to do. I don't like being picked up, and I just realised, oh God, I really, really like this guy. I like him more than I like Robot. But at the time, he was dating someone else, just like me. He was dating a girl who we'll call Flower. But he wasn't exactly happy with his girlfriend. Um, that's flower. And over the Christmas period of me worrying that, oh my gosh, I've fallen for someone else, and me worrying, oh my gosh, does he even like me? I found out that he did, and he wasn't exactly happy with his current girlfriend. So we talked about it, and eventually we agreed that what we would do is we'd both break up with who we were dating at the time, and we would see how things went between us. So we did. We broke up with, well, I broke up with Robot and he broke up with Flower. And we spent the next year and 2 months together as a couple. I was happy, he was happy. But a month before we finished, we decided we were going to try something a bit different. And we had another one of our friends join us. Now, this friend of ours was a gender fluid girl who was a bit older than us. She was lovely and I was fine with this. And for a little while, we were all happy. Me, Alphonse, Xander. Now, I'm going to use female pronouns for Xander because she would change the pronouns she used depending on what gender she felt that day. But at the moment, pretty much all the time, she's a she. So, me, Alphonse, and Xander were a group. We were a three-way relationship, and I was fine with this. Until another one of our friends decided they needed to butt in and tell us that they didn't feel right with what we were doing. They felt like what we were doing was wrong, which ended in me having a breakdown. And there wasn't much we could do. After that, Alphonse started to feel like he was having to look after me, as if I was a child and he had to be my father. So eventually I got cut out of this relationship with no explanation at the time, just a coin toss. And obviously I was sad because I loved him. But a couple of weeks later, while they were together and I was now single, I accidentally broke one of his pieces of kitchenware, and less than 24 hours later he snapped and decided to become violent. He physically slammed me to the floor with his hand around my neck. I wasn't the first person he had done it to. One of the other people in our corridor, who's still friends with him and actually is in the same corridor as him this year, had the same experience for a different reason. So I couldn't stand to be around that anymore. So I quickly went to the accommodation services and told them what would happen. Well, and asked them if I could move rooms. Now, they said that they couldn't let me move rooms without knowing why. So I told them why, because my mum had come down and she wasn't letting me stay in that corridor with him anymore. So I told them why, and they said that they couldn't keep it quiet, even though I asked them to. And they said they had to take it through all the stuff within the university to make sure that he didn't get away with it. He did anyway, but still. He took this to be me trying to ruin his life. Even though with him and Xander together they could be perfectly happy just ignoring my existence, he couldn't do that for some reason. So him and Xander together, they still are now as well, which is kind of nice. I kind of feel worried about Xander sometimes, but still, that's not the point. Him and Xander were on the defensive from things that he had actually done, because Xander took his side. The people around me were really nice. They helped as best they could, but I moved. I commuted to all my exams for the end of that year, that university year, and I started dating a guy who I will call Bird. Now, Bird lives in the States, and we'd talk all the time, and I'd been talking to him a lot about things that went on in mine and Alphonse's relationship, because he was a good guy to talk to. He let his freak flag fly, and I loved him for it, and I still do. He's an amazing guy, but he had his own little secret. I wasn't the only person he was with. In the States, he had his own girlfriend, and after a while he became quieter and quieter with me, and eventually it got to the point where I thought something's wrong, and I found out about his girlfriend in the States. So we broke up. We were only together for a couple of months. And then I found someone else to talk to, someone else to confide in, feel comfortable with. And he's over in the States as well. And he's someone I would love you all to get to meet eventually. But I get to meet him first. And this was Dragon. And me and Dragon have been dating ever since. So that's August. The problem was that Alphonse and Xander never stopped being on their guard. And because of this, my friends at uni, my friends abroad, had lie after lie hurled at them by Xander mainly. By Alphonse mainly, though Xander eventually joined in. And it ended up meaning that I lost two friends who decided Alphonse was telling the truth. It greatly impacted mine and Bird's relationship, and it's given me days where me and Dragon have just had to talk through all the things that he's been told so that he knows what's true and what's not, what to believe and what not to believe. And it's not helpful. Now, one of the things that got put in place, I'm not sure if it was by the university or by Alphonse's counsellor, but he was told he was not allowed to be in the same room as me when we were on university campus. And for a while he did this, but then he got sick of tired of me apparently controlling his life, and he decided no more. And last week he said he had found a way around it. This left me scared, worried, not knowing what the heck to think, because I didn't get what was going on, and this affected me so much last week, with a lack of being able to talk to Dragon on top of it, that I barely left my room. I barely ate. I went to lectures, but that was about it. Anyway, that's why I didn't have chance to give you a video last week. If you enjoyed this story, then if you enjoyed this anecdote, because it actually happened, please feel free to write messages, write comments. If you want to know more, please tell me. I can do another video about specific things if you want. I can do more stories if you enjoy stories. I'm always up for a bit of criticism, so if you think something you think I can do better, feel free. But do realise, if you say the video's rubbish and don't give me a reason and aren't willing to help, then I probably won't pay attention to you. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you never have to go through something like that yourself. Enjoy life, live it to the fullest, and I'll see you next week.